Life of Swami Dayanand, the hero, the rishi, the saint, are the natural fruits of our Indian soil, and there has been no age in which they have not been born. The above is a quotation from the life sketch of Rishi Bhakingam Chandra written by Shri Aurobindo. Aurobindo has only made a statement of fact. Yes, there has been no age in which great men have not been born in our country. When decadence started after the Mahabharat war, it is true that we did not succeed in arresting the cause of decline for long. The period involved runs into centuries, but we did not fail to produce great men. We had Mahavir and Gautam Buddha on the religious plane. We had Adi Shankara too. When the first foreigner tried with the might of his armed forces to set his evil foot on our land, great men like Chanakya, Purushottam and Chandragupta Maurya rose to the occasion and foiled his attempts. Pushyamitra, Prithviraj Chauhan, Rana Sanga, Rana Pratap, Chhatrapati Shivaji and a host of such other heroes salvaged the prestige of India with their heroic deeds. When our heroes were fighting the battles of freedom, our men of God in the field of religion and culture established their superiority with their erudition and piety. One such great man of God was Swami Dayanand. He was born on 12th Feb 1824. Swamiji was born in a well-to-do family of Odichia Brahmins in Tankara town in Gujarat. We have very little information about the early life of Swamiji. Even in the autobiography published by the Theosophists, Swamiji had deliberately avoided giving any details about his early life. What little information we have of him of this period is the result of the collective efforts of great Arya Samajis like Dharmavir, Pandit Lekhram Ji, Sri Devendranath Ji and Sri Ram Devi Ji. We have divided Swamiji's life into 4 stages. First at home, second in the wilderness, third at the feet of the Guru, fourth achievements in his life. At home, Swamiji lived under the care of his parents, Sri Karshanji, his father, and his pious mother, whose name we don't know even today, even after 22 years. He was the first born child of his parents. His father was of 35 years when Swamiji was born. There is no unanimity of opinion about the name in his early life. Some say he was called Mul Shankar, to some he was Dayaram. The fact that Karshanji was a Shaivite and his wife was a Vaishnavite solves the issue. Karshanji as a Shaivite must have preferred to name his son after his choice deity Shankar. As a Vaishnavite, his mother must have preferred to call him Dayaram. Life of Swamiji at home was a mixture of sorrow and happiness. As a child, he received all attention from his parents. But as he grew up to age, we witness a widening gulf in the temperaments of the father and the son. This is not to say that MoolShankar was a disobedient son, nor that he had no love for his father and mother. He respected them, but as a very strict disciplinarian, Karshanji wanted his son to follow his instructions, even when they were not to Swamiji's tastes. In pursuance of his father's desire, MoolShankar fasted and kept vigil during night of Shivratri. This was during 1838, when MoolShankar was only 14 years old. What MoolShankar wished most was the Shiva's darshan, since his father had shown him the way. Accordingly, he fasted the whole day. He kept vigil during night also on Shivratri. But did MoolShankar have Shiva's darshan? Did he see and experience his grace? MoolShankar had altogether a strange experience. Instead of Kala Rudra, that is another name of Shiva, he saw all in the sanctum sanctorum was a mouse trampling the idol of Shiva with impunity. Young Mul Shankar's mind revolted. He could not believe his eyes. He concluded that the path shown by his father was wrong. Fasting and keeping vigil during night will bring me face to face with God. So thought he. But things had happened contrary to his expectations. He then left the temple in utter disgust and at home ate something to appease his hunger, thus breaking the fast. The action of Mul Shankar cannot be construed as disobedience, but his father did feel so. His mother did not approve of Karshanji's expression of dissatisfaction at his son's behavior. In this context, I am reminded of a parable in the Kathopanishad. Vajrashrava was a great rishi. He had an intense desire to perform yagna, known by the name of Vishwajit. Yagna is a fire ritual, a sacrifice. Vajrashrava wanted to perform it. The real motive behind such a sacrifice was acquisition of both earthly and heavenly gains. Vajrashrava, after performing yagna, voluntarily gave away all that he possessed in order to secure his spiritual interests. He had a son by name Nachiketa. Although a boy, Nachiketa showed great maturity when he warned his father about the inadequacy of a formal, soulless ritualism. Nachiketa was opposed to the external ceremonialism of his father. He was an ardent seeker of spiritual wisdom. Vajrashrava got wild at the impertinence of his son. In a fit of rage, he said, "Go to Yam." Yam is considered as the god of death in the Hindu mythology. Yam is also interpreted to mean a teacher. Whatever be the meaning of Yam, that Vajrashrava did not like the impertinence of his son is evident. Similarly, the incident of Shivratri day in the life of Mul Shankar acted as a catalyst to speed up his progress towards the life of an aspirant. In the life of Nachiketa, the Vishwajit Yagna and the events leading to his father condemning him to death had a similar reaction in Nachiketa. These were the turning points in the lives of these two great men, Swami Dayanand and Nachiketa. Till about the year 1846, we have heard very little about Swamiji. His first phase of life ended at the age of 22, when he left his house once for all. The only thing research has revealed about his life at home was how Karshanji used to always bemoan that in his son, Vairagya, a liking for renunciation had dawned very early. It is said that one day Mul Shankar set fire to the clothes on his body to burn himself to death, so as to enable him to know all about death. All his previous inquiries to know about it had, it seems, failed to satisfy him. Second stage of life, in the wilderness. Karshanji was a man of resolute nature, very stubborn and proud of his lineage, as well as his influence as a man of richness and power as a revenue official. He had a taste for the display of his prowess, but he was a God-fearing man and a devout Shiva Bhakt too. I don't say that Mul Shankar inherited all the qualities of his father. It is true that resoluteness constituted his basic quality, as in the case of Karshanji, his father. The success in life of Swami Dayanand mostly depend on his basic quality of him. Having left his house, Mul Shankar wandered from place to place in search of a spiritual guru. On the very first day of his life, outside his parental house, he had an encounter with robbers. The robbers mistook him to be a detective and therefore wanted to kill him. But his innocent face and demeanor evoked sympathy in them. They left him unhurt, but not without taking away 2 of his gold rings he was wearing on his fingers. Mul Shankar next met a part of cheats dressed as sadhus. Their show of spirituality attracted him. He stayed with them only to be beguiled to part with the remaining 2 gold rings on his fingers. Mul Shankar was not sorry for this incident. He heaved a sigh of relief. On the contrary, he realized that the last obstacle on the road towards a life of spirituality had been removed. Mul Shankar then chanced to meet one Nirmal Chaitanya at Seale. Nirmal Chaitanya was a brahmachari, a celebrate. He persuaded Mul Shankar to receive initiation into the order of Naistik Brahmachari. Naistik Brahmacharis pledged to lead a life of total continence right from the childhood till death. Mul Shankar readily agreed. After baptism in the said order, he was called Sudha Chaitanya. As Sudha Chaitanya, we find Mul Shankar wearing the robes of a recluse with a dried god to serve the purpose of a bowl. Shuddha Chaitanya stayed for some length of time at Sayale. We hear of an incident which occurred here during his sojourn as Shuddha Chaitanya. There stood a big banyan tree outside the mutt, a monastery where Shuddha Chaitanya stayed. It was a new moon day. Pitch darkness prevailed, except for the occasional cries of nocturnal birds. Complete silence prevailed. Encouraged by the silence of the night, Shuddha Chaitanya felt that it was the ideal time to sit in meditation and concentrate upon God. He came out and sat underneath the banyan tree. As he sat there, thoughts about ghosts and the stories he had heard of them when a child started haunting his mind. He was disturbed. He could not concentrate on God. This incident in the life of young Chaitanya speaks eloquently about the fact that samskaras, impressions once formed, leave such inedible marks on us that they don't die easily. They have to be mercilessly driven out. This lesson Swamiji learnt very early in life, and with an indomitable will, using ruthless methods, was able to wipe them out and lead a successful life of continence. From Sayala, Shuddha Chaitanya, passing through Kot Kangda near Ahmedabad, came to Siddhapur. The incident that occurred at Siddhapur is a memorable one. It tells us about a battle of wits that raged between a father and a son, Karshanji and Shuddha Chaitanya. Karshanji was bent upon tracing out his lost son and make him cast away vairagya, renunciation, and entered into the life of a householder and enjoy life. This is exactly what his son detested and wanted to avoid at all cost. Shuddha Chaitanya was living in the temple of Nilkant Mahadev at Siddhapur. After a vigorous search, certain clues that he had gathered while at Siddhapur, one morning Karshanji entered the temple of Nilkant Mahadev. Karshanji saw his son Mul Shankar in the robes of a recluse. His head was neatly shaven and with a bowl in hand. This greatly exasperated Karshanji. In a fit of rage, he burst out,
"You fool, you have brought eternal disgrace to your family."
To Karshanji, the life of a recluse meant a life of disgrace. Karshanji was a man of few words, and Mul Shankar knew of this. To avoid further display of unsavory scenes, he fell at the feet of his father and for the first time in his life uttered a lie. This was for the last time too he had done so. He said,
"Forgive me, father. My sudden disappearance from Tankara is the work of some knaves. I am very sorry for what has happened. I am a disillusioned man now. I was about to return back home. Now that you have come, I am prepared to follow you."
Shuddha Chaitanya had purposely uttered a lie. He thereby wanted to gain the confidence of his father and then give him a slip at an opportune moment. This is exactly what happened. He gave the slip by pretending to go to answer calls of nature. This was the last occasion the father and the son had met. In the battle of wits that had on raged between them, Shuddha Chaitanya at last triumphed. Third stage of life. At the feet of Guru, we next see Shuddha Chaitanya visiting places of religious importance on the banks of river Narmada. At Vyas Ashram, he met Karmananda, a Hatha yogi. At the feet of this man of yoga Vidya, he learnt various types of asanas and mudras, practiced Tratak, Nadi Shuddhi, Neti Kriya, Basti Kriya, Dhoti Kriya, and Pranayam. All these are yogic exercises which purify the body and help in meditation. At Mahabaleshwar, he met Ananda Baba, from whom Swamiji learnt the way to master Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. At Chandod, on the banks of the river Narmada, Shuddha Chaitanya met Swami Paramanand Paramhans. He read Vedanta, Paribhasha, and Vedanta Chintamani. Shuddha Chaitanya's dim allure and the intense desire to lead the life of a recluse so greatly impressed Swami Paramanand that he initiated him into the order of sannyasis. The name Swami Dayananda Saraswati was conferred on him. Mul Shankar then became Swami Dayanand. Some critics of Swami Dayanand pass certain disparaging remarks against Swamiji, that he was not consistent in his ideological thinking, that he changed his views from time to time, etc. They also say that he wore Rudraksh Mala, a rosary, to keep count of prayers, and in certain matters was closer to the old and antiquated beliefs of Sanatanis. I do not subscribe to this view of the critics. Swamiji began his life of Vairagya, life of renouncement in all sincerity. As a traveler on the road towards the ultimate goal in the religious pursuit, he definitely passed through all stages, but only with inquisitiveness of an inquirer. His was a long quest for truth. He began his inquiry with a desire to conquer death. He had seen people die around him as a child. The only feeling that was therefore uppermost in him was a desire to conquer death. The Shivratri day episode had awakened him to realize that idol worship did not lead anybody to God realization, that it was not even a stepping stone to reach the final stage of moksha. Swamiji was at a continuous struggle to realize the truth. In the process of sifting, we have to do a lot of husking too. Swamiji did this only. He chanced to meet many persons of varied talents and belief, both on the banks of the Narmada and on the dizzy heights of the Himalayas. He saw the Ganges at his place of origin, Gangotri in the Himalayas, and at Hooghly near Calcutta too. Ultimately, he traced out the real Ganges after a great and prolonged search of 14 long years at Mathura. A person traveling upstream in a boat from Calcutta to Gangotri have to pass through various stages of the Ganges to reach a place free from all unholy effluents. Swamiji did this only, and in the process had to face many hardships. His life was attempted once by the worshippers of Shakti, acting as admirers of Swamiji. They gave him a hearty welcome and provided him with all facilities. In fact, they begged him to stay for longer with them. When Swamiji wanted to leave the place, Swamiji stayed there till the festival of Durga Puja. On the day of the festival, he was invited to come to the temple. Swamiji complied, but when the temple priest asked him to bow before the deity, he refused, as idol worship went against his own principles. In the battle of wits, Swamiji had won against his father, but as against conspirators in the grab of admirers who surrounded him and who were more cannibalistic than the cannibals themselves whenever their ego was hurt. It looked like something humbly impossible for Swamiji to stage an escape when the sharp-edged sword wielded by a giant like man who accompanied the priest was about to fall on him. Swamiji's superhuman effort enabled him to make good his escape. Swamiji had the swiftness of a stage and the courage of a lion. The two qualities in him saved him from death. On another occasion, Swamiji volunteered to be sacrificed at the altar of Kal Bhairavi as a substitute for a Brahmin boy who was being led to the scaffold to be offered as sacrifice to Kal Bhairavi. But the timely appearance of the police on the scene saved him. Swamiji's life is riddled with such narrow escapes from death. There were occasions when Swamiji received help from even wild beasts. Swamiji was once passing through a very dense forest. For days he had walked all alone. There was not even fruit-bearing trees in that forest. Swamiji had eaten nothing for days except for the air, which was abundantly available there, and which he breathed freely. There was nothing to keep both his body and soul keep together. It was midday. Swamiji was tired. He laid almost motionless under a tree. There was no trace of human habitation in the vicinity. No human being passed that way. Only two wild bears chanced to pass that way. Swamiji saw the approaching wild beasts. He felt that his end was near, but he made no attempt to escape from what he considered to be messengers of death. He lay unnerved. The wild beast came near him. They did not harm to him. They merely smelled his body and went the way they had come. The incident did not come to an end here. All of a sudden, something which surpasses all comprehensions, all imagination occurred. The wild beasts came back. They seemed to be on a mercy mission, for they had brought a honeycomb along with them. It was full of honey. Swamiji drank it to his fill and after taking rest for a while resumed his journey. Yet another such incident occurred when Swamiji was at Chandod. Swamiji was learning yoga under the able guidance of Shri Jwalananda and Shivananda Giri. The villagers used to supply milk to all the ashramitis in the ashram, hermitage of the said two great ascetics every day. It so happened that the said ascetics left for Mount Abu once, and the villager felt all the ashramitis must have also left along with their gurus. So they stopped supply of milk to the ashram. But Swamiji had not followed the ascetics to the Mount Abu. He had stayed back. Since the supply has been stopped, he had no milk. He did not take anything except water for a day. The next day something wonderful happened. A milch cow came running into the hermitage. It started mooing. Swamiji could not make out of anything from the cow's strange behavior. Then two villagers who seemed to be in search of the cow also came there. They tried their best to take the cow away. The cow did not budge an inch. Then they milked the cow and offered that milk to Swamiji. One could clearly see rays of satisfaction radiating from the face of the cow. Perhaps it was happy as it had successfully tried to help a righteous soul. The fourth stage, achievements in life. 14 long years in search of a guru and about 3 years at the feet of Guru Virjanand. I call this period in the life of Swamiji's as preparatory period. Thereafter started what could be rightly called the period of achievements. A study of Swamiji's life, both during the preparatory period and the period of achievements, reveals something very significant about his true nature that he little cared to see if his attempts at achieving results were fraught with danger or not. He always exposed his life to risks. when he was sure he would get desired results. Swamiji faced the fury of nature, the ferocity of the wild animals, and the bestiality of men while moving both on the banks of the Ganga and Narmada and on the dizzy heights of the Himalayas. There were occasions when wild animals like pigs, a tiger, and a bear, in all their ferocity, tried to pounce on him. The whole world, too, the Muslims, the Christians, and more particularly the Sanatani Hindus, seemed to be up in arms against him when he tried to show mankind the path of true religion. It was a largely attended meeting at Banaras. Swamiji spoke, among other things, about Islam. The Muslims who were present in the meeting did not like Swamiji's certain observations on the Islam. In his search for truth, Swamiji had read all about Islam. It did not satisfy him. Therefore, as a seeker of truth, he spoke what he felt about Islam in very clear terms. The Muslims did not only like it, but decided to finish him physically whenever an opportunity came their way. Once it so happened that Swamiji was sitting on the banks of the Ganga in deep meditation. Some Muslims who were passing that way chanced to see him. They recognized him, and one of them said,
Look, there sits the Baba who spoke despairingly on Islam the other day.
It did not take a long time for them to decide upon a line of action. They stealthily walked over to Swamiji, then lifting him up, tried to fling him into the river waters. Swamiji held them fast underneath his arms and jumped into the river. He stayed underwater for so long that the miscreants felt like dying of suffocation. At last, taking pity on them, he loosened his grip and allowed them to swim back safely. Once on the bank, they along with other friends waited for long to take revenge. A great yogi as he was, Swamiji in the lotus pose stayed long underwater. The miscreants after a long watch walked back home thinking that Swamiji had perhaps breathed his land underwater itself. The shades of night having fallen, Swamiji swam back to the bank and continued his efforts to establish himself in communication with God. In August-September 1879, Swamiji delivered several lectures at Bareilly. Christians too attended it. Among them was the Commissioner of Bareilly. In his speech, Swamiji referred to Christianity and pointed out what in his view were things unbelievable in it. The commissioner got angry and sent a message through one Sri Lakshmi Narayan, government treasurer, that he was displeased with Swamiji's observation on Christianity and that he would stop his lecture in case Swamiji did not desist for condemning his religion. Swamiji was undaunted. The very next day, he made his attitude clear in one of his public speeches. He said,
The collector may become angry, the commissioner may be displeased, the governor may give trouble, a Chakravarti Raja may feel offended, but I shall not fail to tell the truth and will not divide an inch from giving expressions to truth.
Continuing further, he said,
This body is perishable. Show me a hero who can claim to destroy my soul.
During a lecture delivered in Punjab, Swamiji criticized Christianity bluntly. Those present on the occasion included General Roberts too. After the speech, General Roberts approached Swamiji and said,
Without doubt, you are an absolutely fearless man, for when you without an hesitation condemned Christianity in my presence, surely you can be afraid of none of else.
Lucas visited Swamiji along with an Indian convert to Christianity in May 1876. He then questioned Swamiji as under,
Suppose you are placed in the mouth of a cannon and warned that if you don't bend on your head before an idol, you would be blown away. What would be your answer then?
Swamiji replied,
My answer would be blow me away.
The English are very shrewd people. They apparently did not show any unfriendliness towards Swamiji, but in the heart of hearts, they were deadly opposed to him as subsequent events, particularly attacks on the Arya Samaji show. The events leading to his death and the role of Dr. Spencer in pressurizing Dr. Lakshman Das to stop treating him and the medicine he is stated to have administered to Swamiji all point towards the irresistible conclusion that they had a hand in hastening the death of Swamiji. Swamiji's reformist measures also evoked a violent reaction from the Sanatani Hindus as well. Attempts were made to finish him by resorting the attack by lethal weapons and by setting his hut on fire. A poisonous snake was hurled at him. Goons were hired to kill him. They also tried to spread scandals against him. Swamiji bore all this with equanimity. The Athenian philosopher and teacher Socrates drank poison for the sake of his principles. Jesus Christ preferred crucifixion to a lie, deviating from the religion he had pronounced. Swami Dayanand died the death of martyr as a result of conspiracy to silence his voice forever. His was a voice against superstition, against unrighteousness, which reigned supreme in the grab of true religion, and against a foreign rule. The conspirators were the reactionaries among the Hindus, the Muslims, and the Christians. Nanni Jan, a prostitute, managed to acquire the service of a cook to poison Swamiji. Ali Mardan Khan, the medical officer, aggravated the trouble by acts of omission and commission. John Bull, through Dr. Spencer, dealt the final blow, but out of the fire lit to burn his mortal coil emerged a brilliant red-hot flame which had heralded the birth of a new era, which we see the light of religion based on truth and righteousness slowly spreading its rays to dispel all darkness, all ignorance, and establish the rule of Dharma. India is politically free now, and the followers of Swamiji have played a magnificent role in achieving it. The battle of establishing the rule of Dharma is still on, and we hope to succeed in it before long. Swamiji came to us as a morning star, woke us up from deep slumber, aromatized our lives with the sweet fragrance of his teachings, and made us walk straight and unbent. Proud of our past traditions, past history, and the heritage we have received from the past, he has passed on into the hands of mankind Satyarth Prakash, truth, and spotlight on it. The essence of our scriptures, the essence of our experiences of his life, his beliefs, and his sallies on the superstitions and illusions prevailing the world over. Swamiji gave us a call for unity and to resuscitate ourselves as a nation free from all the shackles of bondage, political, cultural, and economic. Thank you so much, folks, for listening me. Hope you enjoy this audio book by our great Swamiji. So whatever your feelings you feel about this, please share us on comments and do share our channel. Thank you so much.